What's up, my figgy little fashion plates? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on Dress to Kill, while D may have sated your need for speed, I'm here for those who crave couture, when we take a closer look at Gauss. Now, as always, I've got some customizations for you guys to pull some inspiration off of, then we'll be trying on different armor sets and Syandanas to see exactly what works, and at the very end, we'll be swapping into the default helm. So, without ado, let's get dressed. Now, as always, we're going to kick things off with a little bit of a reminder for those of you guys who are new around here. You'll be able to find all of the color codes down in the description box below because, y'all, I get way too many comments saying, you need to move your cam, your face is blocking the colors. The colors are in the damn box, okay? So, kicking things off, we always have our iconic rose gold look. Now, I do have to confess, I'm aware of the fact that they did do some rendering changes and they're kind of tweaking things a little bit, so some metallics don't seem as bright and shiny as they did before, so I may actually end up shifting the rose gold a little bit deeper. I didn't do that here because I'm crossing my fingers that they get it all worked out, but can I just tell you, wow, they're incorporating so many freaking metallics and other shiny textures into these new skins that I'm really curious to see what they end up doing for the Prime. I mean, legitimately, I believe it is going to be 3 out of the 4 main color channels that they use that are all metallic to some degree. So I'm like, what? We gonna wait for Gauss Prime and it's just gonna be all 4 metallics? Is that what we're doing here? Because I don't know how they could get more metallized than this. Now, as always, we kind of kick things off with our standard look. It's got this kind of like brownie burgundy tone, but I actually wanted to show you guys how you can alter this because you could play around with the coloras, right? So as you can see, we are having this brownie burgundy, but you can amp it up with, let's take that red down a little bit of a richer red, because it was a little intense at first. But as you can see, as we move through these different colors, you can really fiddle around with the different tones that you have and come up with something really pretty. So basically, what I'm saying is use this setup as your base setup and then kind of like expand from there. Ooh, I'm kind of liking the multi-gold dimensional thing that's going on over there. But as you can see, this is a great jumping off point for any of your other customizations. The other thing that I wanted to point out here is I was not planning on putting an orange energy color, but after seeing how the energy colors play on Gauss's skin, it's absolutely amazing. You can actually see, look at the difference on the legs where you can see both tones of emissive and then the way that they blend in the arms. I think that it is so super duper cool, and I figured that since we're kind of like in this space where he's playing around with heat and cold, that, you know, his internals could be generating a lot of warmth. So I figured that we would go ahead and stick with that tone right there. Now, when it comes to armors, I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't like that many armors on Gauss. In fact, it's very limited. But right before this, I was like, okay, let's try on some different things. But really, one of my favorites is just going to be like the Avia set. I really enjoyed this one on him. However, when looking at some of the other sets, I was a bit like, it just didn't fit, especially because he's got his red line thing going on, and sometimes I feel like there's a lot of crashing. I don't know why I'm going so far down, but as you can see, the Avia set kind of gives him this mercurial feeling, because you know how Mercury has like wings on his sandals and all of that shit? So part of me was like, oh, I'm totally feeling that vibe. Like, you can really get that avian thing, especially if you're like jumping through the air. The other one that I really like, which I think is going to be no surprise to anybody, which is of course is the Ito Prime set. I feel like this one works super duper well on him, and one of the big things that I was actually paying a lot of attention to is how does Redline affect all of his armor sets. Now, there is a lot of clipping that happens, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not necessarily super fond of how it all works out, but there is one set that I absolutely love to go with his redline specifically, and that's actually the Syrinx. And I feel like this is one of those armors that like nobody's really checking for. I know I mention it a lot personally, but in all honesty, I feel like it fits so well. Just the chest and shoulder portion, mainly because of the fact that it kind of mimics the flare that his Redline has. So whenever you kind of see it going, like it has a very similar like flary shape. So as you can see here, how his arms kind of flare out and how his like legs kind of flare out a little bit. It kind of gives an additional density to it, and I really, really quite enjoy that. I don't actually think that I gave you guys a pass with just the red line on its own. So let's go ahead and do a quick spin for that. And I believe those are the only real armor sets that I will 100% get behind. I tried out the Ferox one from Katir because I wanted to see how that worked. I wanted to see the Imugi because the Imugi worked on so many. I also tried out the Atavist, and I was not fond of a majority of them. And you'll notice too, the same can be said for Syandanas, but we'll get into that in the next look. But so far, for a nice hot start, this is where we're kicking things off with. Okay, admittedly that wasn't the greatest segue, so let's just like wipe that from our minds. Regardless, as you can see here, we are on our second rose gold look, and you probably see me running around with this one as of late, mainly because of the fact that this was on the launch video that I did with Gauss, and then also a lot on the streams because we getting that Twitch drop transmission palette, boo! Now, the big thing that I wanted to point out on this skin, so we've got it redlined by the way, just in case you guys missed that, is I actually went ahead and swapped the secondary into something a lot darker, and then I put the pop of color in the primary, which I absolutely love, because this can subtly change the look of the entire thing. So let me show you. So we've got a pretty neutral kind of setup for the rest of the skin, but watch when you change that pop of color. Right there! Right there, if you can see it, I would even go with that look too. And this is honestly what ties me up when it comes to Fashion Frame, is it's little changes where I'm like, well, should I go with the red version or should I go with the teal version? Should I go with the green version? And sometimes it's just changing that one color that really can alter the feel. Now, of course, you've got the core of it with a lot of the neutral tones out there, but really just these little pops of color in right strategic places can give you a completely different vibe, and I love it. I love that about Fashion Frame. So as you can see right here, we're just going down the list and we're getting a lot of different variations. Just change up the energy color and boom, you've got a completely different feel. So let's go ahead and take a look at Syandanas on this baby, and much like I was saying about armors, I'm not necessarily the fondest of many Syandanas. Now, of course, we keep things fresh with the Officium. It works on so many different things, but as many of you guys know, I feel like this skin actually looks really, really good with the Hildren armor set, the Surator Syandana. That just fits so perfectly, and I'm sure that there are plenty of other jetpack Syandanas that work really, really well too. I personally don't like anything too crazy and bulky. Now, if you guys are curious about the Ultra Syandana, which comes with the bundle, this is what it looks like here. It kind of looks like a stingray. You know how they've got their big long tails? And I kind of like how it attaches to the back, but overall, you know what? If it was a little bit shorter, if it kind of was just a tiny bit longer than the fins on the side, I probably could have gotten behind it. But because of the fact that it drags, I don't necessarily love it all that much. Now, the Syandanas that I do kind of like on this are very few and far between. It's really, really strange because the Flock Syandana I really enjoy on him, but I don't like the rest of the Quattro armor set. So like I was saying, I've been trying a bunch of different ones out there, and this one I honestly do think looks really good. It kind of has that same techie feel to it, but beyond that, really, we kind of struggle to find anything that I'm all about. See, it wasn't Quattro, it was Quoro. The Quaro Syandana. Oh my god, I'm so bad with names. Oh, one of the things that I forgot to mention with armor sets is I don't actually mind the Saturn 6 armor set on him. Now, personally, I kind of stick to the upper body pieces, just the chest and the shoulders. I don't necessarily like the legs on it, but the Syandana looks pretty freaking sick. Even without the rest of the armor set, just as a little jetpack attachment, I'm all about that. Now, I've not tried this one out yet, but I am fond of this this one on its own. See, and that's what I'm saying. The textures are a little bit off because that's what makes it really, really hard for sometimes when you have a skin that has so many different shiny bits, and then you have like Tennogen skins that don't have an equal amount of metallics. They read differently. So a part of me is really, I think that's the biggest struggle of all of this, is because of the fact that he's got so many shiny parts that it doesn't translate so well into things that are very, very beautiful. I think it's gorgeous, but at the same time, because of the fact that the textures don't match, I'm not a big fan. I will say though, if you notice this, look at the Tello Syandana, and look, it's almost slotted into his back, which I'm kind of very fond of as well. Very, very cute. So if you guys have not tried out these Syandanas, definitely play around with them. And if there's anything that you find to be really, really good, leave it in the comments below. Maybe some Tennogen that I don't personally own, because listen, feedback is always feedback. Everybody's got to be able to chime in, but me personally, I'm going to stick to Surator and Officium. I feel like those are the best fits, including the Saturn 6 as well. And closing things out, we have what I feel to be a little bit of a departure from my standard customization set. However, I am very, very fond of this look. As you can see, we did focus on the primary. I fell in love with that rich red as the internal. Usually when you put red on the outside of a frame, it can be very, very dominant. However, in this case, because of the fact that it's set into the frame, like underneath other panels, it's a little bit more subtle. But really, to me, the star of the show here is the blue energy color. I've been wanting to use a royal blue energy color on a Warframe for such a long time, and when I saw it paired with this red, I was like, oh my god, I just have to go with it. Usually, all of my customizations come out a little bit warmer, so I wanted to kind of cool things down a little bit with this setup. And to be honest with you, I played with a lot of different energy combinations, and I really just liked a bit of true blue. I know it sounds really, really cheesy, but I'm a big fan of the way that the two colors mesh in together, that red and that blue. And again, the cool thing about this is we did use a lot of neutrals on the externals of this particular customization. So you can alter this big time by going ahead and kind of playing around with the primary color. So as you can see here, we'll go, actually, I've been playing around. You guys know that I love the coral and the roller set. So even that, that kind of oranges it up a bit, but you can even go just a little bit lighter. Don't go too light on the primary, because then it can kind of get a little too glisteny, a little too reflectively, and take over the look. But legitimately, this is another one of those where you can kind of like go in and alter the look with just a little touch from the internals. So as you can see right here, you can kind of make it very, very blue. You can make it kind of like what's called a hybrid blue, like a teal and a royal blue, which is very, very cute. Go in a little bit heavier with the greens. I think that there's so many different variations, and that's why I love the Gauss customization, because really they were on point when it came down to their color mapping, because you can do a whole lot with some subtler looks. You can do things that are a little bit more flashy. Now, me personally, I didn't like something too crazy on the secondary. I thought it kind of like, it just didn't feel right, but I did want to go ahead and do a little bit more of a techie look. I feel like the other ones are very like Rob. This is a little bit more different. Now, while we're here, let's go ahead and swap out the helmet into the standard helmet. I feel like it looks very Mag-ish. Does that not kind of remind you of Mag? We're gonna need to go ahead and take a look at the way that Mag looks and compare him, the base Mag, compare him to how he looks here, because I'm really, really bent on the whole they are relatives thing. I feel like they're totally relatives. The only difference for me is this is kind of like armor plated, while Mag had like the open helmet. So me personally, I'm still sticking to that as my headcanon. And we're gonna explore it real quick here because I am kind of nutso. But that's how the standard helmet looks on it. As you guys can probably tell, I am more of a fan of the Mag helmets on Gauss. But let's go ahead and take a look at Mag real quick, because I wanna drive this nail home. I really genuinely believe. Like, look at the pictures of standard Mag. Look at the pictures of standard Mag. You can't tell me that there isn't like a slight resemblance for the way that the head is shaped. Even that like outer fin, okay? Even that little outer fin. Let's take a look at Gauss's little outer fin when he's got that. He's even got that little outer fin shape too. You can't tell me that they're not related. I'm convinced. Look, it even has the mouth like muzzle thing. Anyway, it's my headcanon, doesn't need to be yours. Let me know if you're slowly adopting it, though. And that's gonna do it for me for now. Let me know how you feel about these customizations down in the comments below. Which one was your favorite? And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. Mag is definitely related to Gauss. I'm just saying. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!